Recording in progress.
Honorable members, let's allow a minute of silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. You may take your seats. Honorable delegates, I would like to remind delegates that rules, in particular sub-rules 21, 22, and 23 of Rule 103 apply. Honorable delegates, I've been informed that there will be no notices of motion or motions without notice, except the motion on the order paper in the name of the Chief Whip. I'll now call upon the Chief Whip to move the motion.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson, and greetings to yourself and my esteemed and distinguished honorable members. I rise to move that the Council rescinds its decision taken on the 2nd of April 2025 in respect of the report of the Select Committee on Finance on 2025 Fiscal Framework and Revenue Proposal, and I so move, Honorable Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. Before we proceed to voting on the motion, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make declarations of the vote in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish. Are there any provinces that wish to make a declaration? I don't see any hands. I now call upon provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegations must indicate whether they vote in favor, against, or abstain. Eastern Cape.
Deputy Chair and honorable members, the Eastern Cape Province of the Legends votes in support of the motion by the Chief Whip. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate. Free State.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. The Free State move in support of the motion.
Thank you. Gauteng.
Thank you so much, Chair. The Home of Champions has been mandated to support the motion. Thanks.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal.
Deputy Chair, on behalf of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we support the motion.
Thank you. Limpopo.
Deputy Chair. Okay. As for Limpopo, we support the motion. The Chairperson of Portfolio Committee, Honorable P.A.D. Maseko.
Thank you very much. Mpumalanga.
Now, thank you very much, Chair. My greetings to you. Mpumalanga Province, the province of the rising sun, we support the motion.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
No, thanks very much, Chair. The Northern Cape doesn't support a coup of Limpopo. Chair, as a Northern Cape Deputy Chair, we support the motion of the Chief Whip. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that clarity. Thank you for the support. Northwest.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. As Northwest, we support the motion.
Thank you. Western Cape.
Western Cape will support, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now declare that all 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the motion agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable delegates, we shall now proceed to the order of the day, which is a consideration of the report of the Select Committee on Finance and the 2025 Fiscal Framework and Revenue Proposals. The announcements, tabling, and committee reports was done on the 6th of June, 2025. I now call upon the Honorable S. Ndlovu, Chairperson of the Select Committee on Finance, to present the committee report. And she... Honorable Ndlovu, you have 15 minutes.
Thanks, Honorable Deputy House Chair. The Chief Whip of the NCOP, Honorable Delegate, I must also indicate that today we are honored to have the STP in our midst. I want to greet you, STP, with your staff or your delegation, because it's for the first time that you will come to our city. Honorable Badenhorst, I'm on the podium now. And honorable delegates in the House and also in the visual platform, I greet you all. Good afternoon. It is my privilege, honorable members, to stand before this August House to present the Select Committee's report for the adoption of the 2025 Fiscal Framework and Revenue Proposal to this House. A critical blueprint for South Africa's economic stability, growth, and social progress. This budget reflects the difficult trade-offs we face as a nation, balancing fiscal sustainability with our developmental imperatives in a challenging global and domestic environment. Honorable members, the 1st February 2025 budget was not formally tabled before Parliament. The 2nd 2025 budget was tabled on 12 March 2025. The committee considered an adoption and adopted the report on March 2025 Fiscal Framework and Revenue Proposal report on 12 April 2025. The tabling of this May 2025 budget followed the withdrawal of the VAT increase by Minister Godongwane, the additional zero-rated food items, and the outcomes of the legal challenges. The adoption of the Fiscal Framework and Revenue Proposal is guided by the Money Bill and Related Matters Act, a cornerstone of our democratic fiscal governance. This process ensures transparency, accountability, and robust parliamentary oversight. Following the tabling of the budget speech, the Fiscal Framework and Revenue Proposal are scrutinized by both the Standing Committee on Finance and Select Committee on Finance. These committees engage in rigorous analysis, consult experts, and crucial, invite public participation to shape the final framework. We welcome and value public participation as a vital pillar of a democracy. Through public hearings, South Africans, individuals, civil society, businesses, and labor have voiced their insights, concerns, and aspirations. The two committees received a total of 16 submissions, honorable members. We appreciate this input as this helped to strengthen the democratic process on the budget, the domestic and global context. Despite 31 years of democracy, South Africa still faces unprecedented social and economic challenges. The economy has not grown at a rate fast enough to create jobs for all those of working age. Too many South Africans are excluded from economic opportunities and access to education. Healthcare and other basic services remains unequal. The NDP has three main aims for 2030, which is to eliminate poverty, reduce inequality, and reduce unemployment to 6%. Our high unemployment rates indicate to us that we are not likely to achieve the objectives set out in the NDP. Honourable members, the MTDP 2024 to 2029 is the medium-term plan towards the achievement of the NDP, replacing previous mid-term strategic framework. The main objective of the mid-term development plan 2024-2029 to strategically guide the work of the 7th administration to achieve the goals set out in the statement of intent of the GNU and of the National Development Plan. Honourable members, we know that the fiscal framework and revenue present presented are not austere, but are aimed at stimulating the economy to increase demand and thereby grow the economy. As the committee, we are of the view that it is futile for us to think that we can cut our way to growth, given the economic literature teaches us that a key driver of economic growth is public investment in areas like education, research, and technological innovation. Austerity can be self-defeating. As Keynes argued back in the 2030s that if government cuts spending during a low growth period, a short-lived recession can become a fully fledged depression. Again, honorable members, Keynes argued in the book, The End of Laissez-faire, open quote, the important thing for government is not to do things which individuals are doing already, but to do those things which at present are not done at all, close quote. In other words, government should think strategically about how investment can help shape citizens' long-term prospects. In this regard, we believe that the budget takes a shift from what Keynes warns us about that the table of budget is not an austerity budget. It remains pro-poor, pro-growth, as it grows expenditure by 0.8% in real terms over the medium term. It considers policy trade-offs and continues to allocate 61% of non-interest expenditure to social services. There are, however, reductions of initial amounts presented on the 12th of March, which plan to increase the budget by 200 billion plus over the medium term. It has now been reduced to 180.1 billion. Social services in provinces are retained, making the budget very distributive. It further changes composition of expenditure from consumption to investment to grow the economy. The budget project consolidated spending growth average 5.4% annually, from 2.4 trillion in 2024-2025 to 2.81 trillion in 2027 to 2028. It is important, honourable members, for us to understand that the budget is presented within a fundamental different global outlook amid trade conflicts and imposition of tariffs. Economic growth projections have been lowered over the past 2 months in light of a weaker global outlook, trade frictions, increased uncertainty and lower projected investment. Geopolitical tensions and reconfiguration of supply chain remains a risk of foreign investment. In 2025, GDP is expected to grow by 1.4%, improving to 1.8% in 2027. Government's economic priorities remain strengthening macroeconomic stability to reduce living costs and grow investment, executing reforms to promote a more dynamic economy, building state capability in core function and supporting growth, enhancing public infrastructure investment. National Treasury now expects GDP growth rate to average 1.6% over the medium term, which is 0.2 percentage point lower than the 1.8% projected in the March 2025 budget. Growth is expected to be driven by continued progress in structural reform implementation, commitment to prudent macroeconomic policy, and waning uncertainty. Upon interrogation of the budget, we are of the view that the fiscal framework aligns seamlessly with the medium-term development plan and the priorities outlined by the President Cyril Ramaphosa in the 2025 State of the Nation address. The medium-term development chart a path towards inclusive growth, poverty reduction, and inequality alleviation, emphasizing job creation, infrastructure investment, and state capability. State of the National address reinforced these goals, highlighting the need to tackle the energy crisis, boost economic activity, and support the most vulnerable. This budget translates this commitment into action. We prioritize infrastructure to drive economic activities and job creation, with investment of over 1 trillion in roads, rail, energy, and water infrastructure. It emphasizes the continued path of structural reform needed to transform our economy. This investment aligns with State of the Nation address, call for growth enabling infrastructure, and the MTDP's focus on long-term development. By maintaining a primary budget surplus, stabilized debt, currently at 76% of GDP, and ensuring fiscal sustainability to fund these priorities over the medium term. Increased spending. The health sector is provisionally allocated 20.8 billion to cover compensation and essential service. This funding will facilitate the employment of 800 doctors who have finished their community service, safeguard of about 4,700 health posts, and address shortage in medical goods, services, and accruals. In additional 1.4 billion is earmarked for the construction of Siloam Hospital in Limpopo and the implementation of public-private partnership health technology at Tigerberg Hospital. A provisional allocation of 19.5 billion is included for provincial education compensation costs, for safeguarding about 5,500 educators posts, and for improving access to quality early childhood development. The ECD subsidy unchanged since 2019 to 17 rand per child per day will be increased to 24 rand per child per day. Additional funding of 10 billion over the medium term will expand ECD access to an additional 700,000 children up to the age of 5 years old. The allocation to the South African Defence Force for the South African Development Community Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo has been adjusted according to the SANDF phase withdrawal plan. While the medium-term allocation is reduced, the 2025-2026 allocation is increased relative to March 2025 to cover immediate withdrawal costs. SARS will receive an additional 4 billion over the medium term, supplementing the 3.5 billion proposed during the 2025 MTBPS. This funding will focus on using technology, data science, and artificial intelligence to improve efficiency and transparency in tax administration. The increase in the social grant budget of 1.6 billion in 2025-2026 remain. The temporary COVID-19 social relief of distress grant will be extended until 31 March 2026, with 35.2 billion allocated to maintain the current 370 per month per beneficiary, including administrative costs. The social safety net remain a lifeline for millions, mitigating the cost of living in a high inflation environment. Social grant increase above inflation protect vulnerable households. However, the fuel levy or key revenue source present a complex trade-off. For 2025-2026, this raises 4 billion to fund critical services, but risk a negative inflationary effect, increasing transport and cost of goods. Operational vulnerability remain key in driving structural reform. The budget intensifies effort in energy, logistics, and private sector participation through leveraging new public-public partnership. As Parliament, we will closely monitor the pending pattern and implementing of department priorities to achieve the objective of inclusive growth set out in the fiscal framework. Spending reviews, therefore, become equally important. There is no point in adopting a budget that will not be spent effectively in a manner that will transform the lives of ordinary South Africans. The need to address wasteful and irregular spending becomes critical in this regard, and we are pleased that a process is underway to identify underperforming programs, assess quality and expenditure, and tighten control to curb management while addressing underspending by redirecting unutilized funds to frontline services like education. Honourable members, the recommendations that has been observed by the committee, we must emphasize the importance of the SOE in our departmental agenda, in our developmental agenda. However, the committee remains concerned that our contingency liability remain high, mainly due to SOEs, and that if this liability materialize, the debt to GDP trajectory could worsen. We recommend the National Treasury should provide details on how the new PP models will function and ensure that SOE are more effective, inclusive, transparent, and aligned with policy goals. Honourable members, Deputy House Chair, the fiscal framework and revenue proposal reflect our resolve to navigate a challenging macroeconomic landscape. The report was adopted by all parties in the committee, with the exception of the economic freedom fighters and Umkhonto weSizwe. I urge this House to adopt this framework, a roadmap to stability, growth, and a better life for all South Africans. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ndlovu.
Maliwe.
Honorable members, we now proceed to voting, and I shall allow the opportunity to make the declarations before we go to the voting. In terms of Rule 86, if any province wish to make a declaration, you have 3 minutes. And I've been told that there were 3 provinces that have given names. And I will start with the Free State.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson and the members of this August House. The ANC rises in support of the fiscal framework and revenue proposals for 2024-2025 financial year. The ANC, the Free State is raising actually in support of that, because this fiscal framework is in support of the medium-term development plan, which is critical in changing the lives of the people of South Africa. If you can look to number 3 of the development, is that of creating a developmental state. This fiscal framework is exactly going to do that. Why? Because the SARS itself is going to get an extra allocation of about 4 billion rand for 2024-2025, in addition to the 3.5 billion which was announced in the medium-term budget policy statement. So it means that if the SARS is going to be able to get so much money, it is going to be able, the South African government is going to be able to provide the frontline services. As my colleague has indicated, that the budget which is being rolled out here is not an austerity budget. It is a budget which is going to ensure that the frontline services are being provided effectively and efficiently to all the South Africans. But what is critical is that it is going to also to promote the creation of the infrastructure by allocating more than 1 trillion rand over the medium term. So it means that by creating that infrastructure, it means that the logistics of the country. What's happening, Chair?
Honorable colleagues, if you are going to converse, please do it quietly so that you don't disturb the speaker on the platform. Continue.
So what is critical, Chair, is that the very same medium-term development plan emphasizes the issue of eradication of poverty and creation of employment. So if the infrastructure is going to be improved, what's going to happen? I'll just make a simple example. Last week, the Minister of Transport opened the railway line between Chris Hani and Cape Town. So by doing that, it means that it was saving the poorest of the poor and the working class, because the cost of living is going to decrease, because those people who were being serviced by that line were using the taxis, which were very expensive. So what is going to happen is that this promise which came through the GNU, through the medium-term development plan, is going to be realized. But what is also very important is the issue of the inclusive growth and creation of jobs. When you look at the presidential stimulus, which is job stimulus, the allocation which is allocated there, there are so many young people who are going to benefit from the job opportunities which are going to be created by that budget. But not the least. What is very important is that when you go to the budget of education, higher education, the budget of social development, the allocation is so high in such a way that the people will be better off than before. So that's why they.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Your time has expired. I just want to clarify, Honourable Members, when the previous speaker started off, he said as his party, but it's not per party, it is per province. So I just want to clarify that. Right, we'll now move on to Mpumalanga.
No, thank you very much, Chair, and my greetings to you and all the honorable members present here. Chairperson, as Mpumalanga, we support the fiscal framework and revenue proposal as adopted by the Select Committee on Finance. The 2025 budget was tabled under changed condition where global and domestic economic growth projections are lower. Despite this outlook, Chairperson, the Minister of Finance has tabled a budget that continue to advance the policy priorities of the National Development Plan and the Medium-Term Development Plan. We further welcome the second tabling of the budget after the public outcry on the VAT impasse, which reflect a government that responds to the views of the people. Despite resolving the VAT question, our fiscal position as the country required debt stabilizing measures to contain the debt servicing cost without reducing the restraining public expenditure. Chairperson, the fiscal expansion is critical to stimulate the economic, particular with the improving performance of various network industries. In Mpumalanga, we recognize that it is through a growing economy that we can effectively attain fiscal stability through increased revenue. The fiscal framework continues to allocate 61% of the appropriation on the social wage, which over 1 trillion allocated for infrastructure in the medium term. We believe the investment, Chairperson, in the people and our country development will have a positive economic growth effect and contribute to the eradication of poverty, unemployment, and reduce inequality. Chairperson, the education sector is allocated 19.5 billion for provincial education compensation cost for 5,000 educators post, and to improve the ECD subsidy per child from 17 rand to 24 rand, and expand access for additional 700,000 children up to the age of 5. The budget, Chairperson, continue to support fee-free higher education for the poor and funding program for the missing middle. Chairperson, the health sector is allocated 20.8 billion to cover compensation for employing 800 doctors who finish their community service and protect health posts, and also to address medical shortages. Chairperson, as Mpumalanga, we are committed to further discussion with various social partners to ensure that we take measures to improve the revenue collection and consider various alternative revenue proposals to grow our fiscals and respond to the challenges and on impacting our society. Chairperson, we are in support of this fiscal framework. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ngumalo. We now move on to the Western Cape.
Honorable Chairperson, recognizing the economic growth as shared responsibility across all spheres of government and mindful of the persistently high rates of unemployment, poverty and inequality in South Africa, the Western Cape reiterates its call for accelerated implementation and meaningful economic reforms. From the perspective of the Western Cape, where we continue to demonstrate what good governance and sound fiscal management can achieve, we emphasize the urgent need for a national policy and regulatory environment that supports provincial efforts to drive economic development and job creation. In our province, we have seen our regulatory certainty, clean government, and targeted investment in infrastructure contribute meaningfully to economic activity. However, these gains are undermined when national policies fail to support growth across the country. The ongoing expenditure reviews as a critical intervention to enhance value for money spending are welcomed. In the Western Cape, such reviews have already contributed to improved service delivery outcomes and efficient resource allocation. The escalating public sector wage bill remains a serious concern. We support a professional, capacitated public service, but one that is lean, efficient, and free from corruption, and fully endorse a comprehensive audit of public sector employment to address inefficiencies and to eradicate the scourge of ghost employees that rob taxpayers of essential services. We welcome the 1 trillion rand infrastructure allocation over the medium term and believe this represents a vital opportunity to address spatial inequality and bolster economic infrastructure. In the Western Cape, we are ready to roll out infrastructure projects, but require national support in eradicating criminal syndicates like the so-called construction mafia that hinders delivery. Infrastructure funding must be coupled with strong governance, capacity at local level, and consequence management to prevent mismanagement and corruption. Debt servicing costs continue to grow to crowd out much-needed social and economic spending. In the Western Cape, we continue to prioritize fiscal sustainability and responsible budgeting, and we urge national government to take bolder steps to stabilize debt and to implement growth-enhancing reforms. While this national budget contains important components, it will only succeed if implementation is accompanied by discipline, accountability, and cooperation across all spheres of government. The Western Cape stands ready to do its part and calls on national government to do the same. The Western Cape, the province with the most clean municipal audits, supports this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Badenhorst. Are there any other provinces that would like to make a declaration? I don't see any hands. Thank you very much. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question, and the question is that the report be agreed to. I now call upon provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegations must indicate whether they vote in favor, against, or abstain. We shall start with the Eastern Cape.
Chairperson and honorable members, the legendary Eastern Cape. There's no hesitation in voting for the report.
Thank you. The Free State.
Honorable Deputy Chairperson, the mighty province of the Free State vote in support of this fiscal framework and the report.
You.
Thank you.
Gauteng.
No thanks, Chair. Esga Panyaza, the home of champions, vote in favor of this.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal.
Chairperson, on behalf of the government of Provincial Unity of KwaZulu-Natal, we support the report.
Thank you. Limpopo.
No, thanks very much, Chairperson. On behalf of the province, no, there will be no disturbance. I've set it up. I see that you are, okay, the power is now back. No, thanks very much, Chairperson. On behalf of the province of Africa, Eden, the province led by Dr. Popira Matuba, we support the proposal.
Thank you. We now move on to Mpumalanga.
Chairperson, on behalf of Mpumalanga, the province of the Rising Sun, we are in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the province led by Dr. Zamani Sol, we support the. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Northwest.
Let me just take the cue, Honorable Deputy Chairperson, to say that Bokoni Bipirima, led by Honorable Lazarus Blackhead Mohosi, we support. Thank you.
Thank you. Western Cape.
The Western Cape will support, Chair.
Thank you. All right, the voting, honorable delegates, the voting is now closed, and all 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report agreed to in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, honorable delegates. Could you take your seats? Honorable delegates, I have the pleasure to welcome the Secretary to Parliament in our midst and thank him for making the time to be with us. STP, we always welcome you in the NCOP and we thank you for making the time. Please feel free to join us whenever you have the time. I also want to thank the special delegates that are here, and I recognize 2 of them. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate your presence. Feel free to join us whenever you want to. I would also like to thank all permanent delegates that are here, the MECs that might be on the platform, all special delegates and SALGA representatives for availing themselves for this sitting. Honorable delegates, that closes the business of the day. The House is now adjourned.
Recording stopped.